school saying, if it don't apply, let it fly.
Yep.
Point blank. So I feel that, see, ain't that funny? That's what women say. So I'm going to use y'all language. I feel if it don't apply to you, stop trying to stick up for women. If you know you don't do what they do, stop trying to cape by saying, well, don't say all, because it's kind of like, because somebody that knows that that's not them, they'll be like, no, they're right, because it's way more them knuckleheads than good ones like me. So they speaking to the knuckleheads that is the majority of. So whenever, and that's why I be cracking up when women be like, well, not all, because, and it's funny because a lot of those that say that, them be the ones that claim they not like that. But of course, when you do the research, they just like the rest of them. But they'll project like they're not like that for the sake of conversation. But then, of course, when you get to know them with the cameras off and the doors closed, they actually act just like them. They probably just may not be forefront as the other ones are. But they'll just do it behind the
Or it takes something to push them.
Exactly.
And that's what women don't understand. They act like when we say certain stuff, we're saying like, oh, you're immediate like all these girls. But when we understand certain things about women, women don't do things in the same vibration.
Exactly.
Sometimes some women got to be pushed to be a certain type of way. We're not saying that all women act the same way in the same type of scenario, or it happens that blatantly. We're not saying that. We're saying that some women, they have to go through certain situations in order to do some of the things that they're doing. And sometimes when you do stuff like that, it just goes to show, okay, well, you gotta, because like we said, Tony was sitting there saying that, like when women call, like when we talk about stuff men do, right? Mm-hmm. We always admit that men are wrong about certain stuff like that. And we don't have no issue talking about when men do the things that they do stuff wrong in, and all the pookies and ray-rays and the stuff that men go to jail and do like violent crimes and stuff like that. We can sit there and admit that. We ain't saying that like not all men ain't like that and stuff like that. We understand a good amount of men are doing that. You know what I'm saying? So we understand that. So we're not gonna sit and say, oh, that's not a topic of conversation, because it is. That's an issue. So we don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to women, we talk about the stuff that y'all do. Y'all have an issue with it as if like, okay, not all women do this, but it's a lot of y'all that's doing this stuff, and y'all don't call each other out on it. So it's like a lot of times y'all want to blame men for certain stuff, but y'all not even getting on a sisterhood about it. Y'all need to get back with your group of women and be like, hey, we got to fix some stuff. Some stuff ain't right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, and then to comment on something Camilla else just said, she said, some women work in the spirit of God. Now, Camilla, that statement is true, because some, meaning when it come to good, it's always a small number of that. Now, that was the statement she said that makes sense. Some women work in the spirit of God, and more people are down with y'all think. So guess what that means? Because she said it's about the work of the kingdom. Right. So guess what that means? When you say some, because remember, this is a wicked world, there's a small amount of women, just like there's a small amount of men who's actually doing the righteous work. But of course, they live in the everyday world. So they're outnumbered by the wickedness. So they got to stay steadfast and strong enough to keep fighting the good fight. This is why I keep saying it. The ones that's doing the work of God, that's a small number. The majority of the wickedness, that's like 90% of the world. So they got to keep fighting the good fight and do the work of God amongst all the evil, because it's more evil than good. So she actually just proved my point by saying it. So we have to stop saying when women do bad that it's some women. No, it's the majority of women. And it takes the righteous women to combat the majority of the bad women. Because the bad women outnumber the good women, period. That's just what it is. So it's like women need to stop saying that as if like, well, it's just some women. No, because if it was some, it wouldn't even be a topic of conversation, because it would be so minuscule that you wouldn't even have to put it on a big screen, because it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough to be a problem. If it's enough to be a problem, that means it happens more often than it should happen. It happens more often than normal. So if it happens more often than usual, then that's the majority. And the good ones that's fighting a good fight, they're doing God's work to combat the majority. Right. Mm-hmm. That's just what it is.
That's crazy that you said that.
What happened?
She said, not really. It's a lot of us. You just don't see it.
Oh, well, okay, Camilla. Once again. See, we just have to be adults here. You know, and you know what's so crazy? When you know you're doing God's work, you're gonna be out. Satan is gonna send his minions at you. When you're doing God's work, it's not 90% people doing God's work fighting 10% of demons. It's always going to be a small force of y'all fighting the majority of the wicked world. You just think if you got, let's just say if it's her and like 3 of her friends, that's 4. Camilla and 3 of her friends, or just by example. 4 of her sister girls is doing what she's doing. That's 4 people that she personally know in that circle, for example. Right. So if they going out preaching women ain't supposed to preach, but you get what I mean. If they just like tell the truth to other women or other people, that's them 4, that whatever unit she has, versus the majority of the world that drinks, that smokes, that parties, that kills. That's way more of that than them doing the work of God. And what is, Camilla, you can't sit up here and tell me that, because think about it, by that logic, we wouldn't, the topic of women being entitled and going against God and I don't need no man, that wouldn't be a big thing, because living righteously, every woman will be married, or not every, the majority would be married. The majority will have households with kids. That's their gender, and they're not trying to fight to be another gender. All of the righteousness will be in order. Nothing will be perfect, but righteousness will be in order to a point where it can affect the community. If we got all these single moms with no husbands, that's the majority. And remember, you got it in all races, but since we're black, we're going to talk about black. The majority of the black community, not all, but the majority of the black community come from single family homes. So if the work of God was really being done, and well, like, that don't mean y'all not doing the work, but I'm talking about if it was actually real and affected it, but not real, but affecting change, everybody would take heed, and it'll be way more families with kids and the husband and wife and not fornication and all of that. It'll be like 10% of that and 90% of what you're talking about, Camilla. But since we live in the world where that's a small percent and the majority is fornication, the majority is girls having babies out of men and women having babies out of wedlock and not through marriage. Kids coming out of kids that are being born out of wedlock, that ain't no small percent. That's the majority. Mm-hmm. The number rate of black families have went down since the 60s and 70s. So what is we talking about, Everett? Camilla, you of all people should know, because you're older than me and you're in that age group, to know that. I'm younger than you. It was way more black marriage and families back then, and as the decades went on, that number shrunk. Mm-hmm. It was less black families getting married, and it was more single mothers. That was going up. More brothers going in jail. Those numbers went up as time went on. So you and a few other ones that's doing the God's work, even of the ones that you don't know, even for the men and women that you don't know that's doing God's work, it's still all of y'all that's doing God's work that's going against the majority of the world that's wicked. It's not majority of y'all doing God's work versus 5% of wicked people. The majority is wicked, and it takes the few numbers of y'all to stay faith and have faith in God to combat the majority of the masses that's wicked. So it's not, you have to stop talking like it's majority good, because if it was majority good, we wouldn't have the world that we have today.
We wouldn't be having this podcast if it was majority
We wouldn't have this podcast. It wouldn't be a gender war. It wouldn't be a gay war. It wouldn't be an AI. Everybody, like I said, everybody, they trying to make the world full of robots because God would just not have that. But if God letting the devil do his job, he's letting all the wickedness play out, because God got the last say at the end. But until that day comes, he's letting all the prophecies play out. So the work you're doing is the work you're doing, but the work you're doing is not big enough to affect change. The ones you touch is the ones you touch. You're not changing the world because you and a few girlfriends are spreading the word. That's just not what it is. Because the Bible even says you can spread the word all day. The ones that's going to hear it is going to hear it. And for the ones that's not, they not. And sadly, the majority is not going to hear it. But for the ones that do hear it, that's all that count. So I stand on what I say.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of women... Like, because we understand that all women ain't like that, but it's not enough women leading by example for that change to happen. Exactly. Tony is basically getting there.
Exactly.
So it's like, we understand that there's that group of women that, that don't operate in the same way that, the mass majority of women. Oh, she said something.
She just
okay. Damn. What was I about to say? We understand that's not there are some women that don't operate in the same manner that we see most women are operating now, but it's not to the point where it's like where women are making a good example of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all have this whole sisterhood culture that's going on, why aren't y'all getting on the sisterhood about, okay, what y'all doing is not working? Like, we need to get this together because we got to be able to coexist with each other. We can't just sit here and be men all the goddamn time and then try to be masculine and then at the same time want a man to be masculine. So it's just like, it doesn't make sense. But like you said, Tony, like, we broke it down to as clear as day to me.
Yeah, she just missing the point. Because she keeps saying, you don't know that I see a lot of women working on the kingdom that are handmaiden of God. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to challenge that. Are those women married, first of all, Camilla? Because you can't be the handmaiden of God without the structure that God had it with man, woman, and child. So do those women even have a husband? And once again, Camilla, that implies that because remember, none of us is God. So we don't know, we're not omnipotent. None of us is. So what do you think those women are doing? You're not with them 24/7. You don't know what they're doing. Just like they don't know what you're doing. And that's just being real. So You could just go by what you see or what they allow you to see. You don't know those women the inside and out. You're not with them 24/7. And you know why you're not? Because you have your life. You have bills to pay. You have things you have to do. You can't be around those women or those people 24/7 because you have a life to live. So you don't know. You only guessing going off what you think, but you don't know for sure. Now God knows. We can only assume. God knows though, because remember, God knows the heart. We're not God. We only see what we're allowed to see, but God knows the heart. He knows what's being done and what's not. So you can't speak a matter of factly like that. You can't.
You know what's crazy too? Go ahead, Sean.
Hold on a second, Carmela. What does that mean? Because I don't think I've ever heard of that. What does that mean? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, because Carmela, I don't mean to like say, but you just like, I know a lot of women that do, you know, work for the kingdom and everything. I was just say this. It's the truth too. The greatest trick that the devil ever did was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. So a lot of people, I don't know, I don't know you, I don't know. I just know people. Some people be lying.
A lot.
Some people be lying, so they could talk the talk. They could say one thing and then do They could do a whole nother thing that's against the grain. So I've seen priests say they doing that. I've seen priests talk that stuff. I've seen disciples talk that stuff. I've seen even the most. They look genuine in heart, and they look genuine by the look, like the whole our job interview and everything. They cap. I've seen it. So the truth is, you don't know who to believe anymore. You don't know who to believe. You don't know who to trust. So, and that's not pessimistic. That's the truth. I know you know that, Carmela. I know you do. You don't know who to trust, man. You're telling me you'll give a random stranger come up to you. If you give me $500 right now, 2 weeks you're gonna have $5 billion. Just give me the 500 right now.
No, and flip it. Don't even say you're gonna have it in 2 weeks. Just say if you give me $5 in 2 weeks, God gonna bless you with $5 billion. Because that'd be the biggest scam that preachers say. If you give them your money, God. Now you give me your money now, but God will bless you later on. That's the scam.
It's just we live in a scamming world. Like I said, I don't know you. Maybe they talking that talk. Maybe they not. I don't know. But I'm just letting you know. It's a lot of fakes. It's a lot of people that's be saying a lot of stuff.
Like I said, she not running 24/7. She don't know.
Be capping. So
as long as she knows, if she knows what she's doing is righteous, she can only be accountable for her. That's it.
Because this your life.
Now you could just hope the ones that talk the talk is living a life, but at the end of the day, you got to be accountable for your own soul, right. And that's for anybody. That's man or woman. That's for anybody.
Because God will deal with them, and then He'll deal with they'll deal with them in His time and stuff. Be like, you better be doing it. You better be doing it. They can tell you, yeah, I am, and then just be doing something else.
Exactly.
That's not God's way.
Yeah. So you can't speak a matter of factly like that. So, but that's pretty much part 2 of the show, and we wrapping it up now. So we already did part 1, and this was part 2. So of course, be sure to go to Pico's page, Pico One-on-One Talk, because PTSD is also found on that channel on YouTube, and of course, look up these same videos on Facebook, because they on Facebook first, and then they eventually in a few days they go to YouTube. So YouTube is, what is it, Pico the same? On TikTok?
No, TikTok is Pico City.
Okay, so TikTok is Pico City, and YouTube is Pico One-on-One Talk, and then on Facebook it's just the same thing. Yeah, Pico One-on-One Talk, the PTSD show on Pico's Facebook page. So. Those are the 2 topics we have for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Y'all have a good night. And keep God first.
Thank you guys for watching.